Let me go ahead and introduce our panelists for today. And if there's a way to, Aubrey, if you can maybe spotlight the five of us, that would be awesome. And then that way we can see each other in the speaker view as well. All right. So let me introduce our panel. Dr. Avisha Sadeghinejad is a lead faculty and associate professor at the Forbes School of Business and Technology at University of Arizona Global Campus. She holds a doctoral degree in business administration with a specialization in marketing from Golden Gate University, where she also received the Outstanding Graduate Student of the Year Award from Ageno School of Business. She also holds an MBA and a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics from Sharif University of Technology and a Digital Marketing Analytics Certificate from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and the Certified E-Marketing and Certified Social Marketing Associate certifications from the E-Marketing Association. Before joining UAGC, Dr. Sadeghinejad worked as the marketing officer at a startup company where she developed and implemented a strategic marketing plan with an emphasis on email marketing, video email marketing, and marketing automation. In addition, she spent several years in the food industry where she practiced strategic marketing, brand management, market research, and market analysis. Also, as a consumer behavior consultant, she pioneered her company's first customer advocacy program. A few well-known global brands that she handled were Nestle of Switzerland, NUK of Germany, and Familia, Muesli of Switzerland. At Forbes School of Business and Technology, and along with teaching, she has led the development of the BA in Marketing program, as we call it BAM, and has designed and developed several graduate and undergraduate courses with an innovative and engaging approach. Some of her course designs have won awards from the Association for Distance Education and Independent Learning and the International E-Learning Awards Academic Division. She also serves as the Center for Women's Leadership at the Forbes School of Business and Technology as a board member. Our second panelist, Aida Jafari. Aida Jafari is a doctoral candidate in the Doctor of Education in Organizational Leadership at the Graduate School of Education and Psychology at Pepperdine University. Go Waves. Currently, she is working on her doctoral dissertation on student motivation and success. She works at a multi-sector transport company as a human resources and payroll administrator. Additionally, she works as a graduate assistant for GCEP's Center for Global Partnerships and Learning with me and is a trainer for the Resilience Building Leadership Program. Aida came to the US in 2012 with a student visa to pursue her master's degree and is happily married with a beautiful daughter. Dr. Iman Teheri. Dr. Iman Teheri is a general surgeon from Iran, currently living in Toronto, Canada. He is also a poet and a social media influencer who has closely been following the uprising in Iran from day one and has been trying to be the voice of the Iranian people outside of the country. He continues to create video reels on Instagram with a following of over 220,000 people in which he discusses the happenings in Iran and women empowerment. Finally, Mitra Alavi. Named after the Zoroastrian god of light, Mitra Alavi is an Iranian-American comedy writer who recently wrapped writing season 2 of Freeform's Single Drunk Female. Now raised Muslim in the evangelical Bible Belt of Northeast Tennessee, Mitra credits her mixed cultural background as the source of inspiration for her writing and directing. Her most recent short film, Birds Fly Home, was accepted into the Academy Award qualifying LA Short International Film Festival, as well as many others, and won Best Narrative Short of the Indie Spirit Film Festival and the Best Drama Short at the Hollywood Reel Independent Film Festival. Her student film, Three's a Crowd, was a student Emmy Award winner and convinced her to pursue writing and directing in Los Angeles. Mitra's original pilot, Rules for Being a Mutt, based on her experience as an Iranian-American Muslim teenager after 9/11, helped earn her a spot in Disney General Entertainment's 2022 writing program. She continues to write and develop her own projects centering representation of Iranian and Muslim women. So wonderful to have you all here today as part of our panel. Now, let me go ahead and start us off. Avisha, I'm going to start with you. So Avisha, I'd love for you to start by sharing just a few minutes about the events that have just taken place in Iran starting September 16, 2022.
Sure. So before we get to that, I just want to know, I just want to give the audience a little bit of background of why it happened, the way that, it ended up with Mahsa Amini's death. So in Iran, according to Islamic Republic laws, and not according to Islam laws, so I emphasize, according to Islamic Republic laws, women should cover their entire body, except for their face and their hands from wrist down. So all your hair should cover, and as a woman or as a girl in Iran, you cannot wear short sleeves, you cannot wear skirts or shorts or even capri pants. So your whole body should be covered, including your hair. And to make sure that the regime, to make sure that this rule and this law is complied correctly, they have these van cars, millions of them in the whole country. And those cars will go to crowded spots on the streets and stop there and just start to observe women and girls to see if they are complying to this law or not. And, they will stop at, malls and movie theaters. They stop at entrance of campuses, university campuses, or anywhere that is crowded, like subway station, all those areas. And if they see someone that is not complying by that law correctly, they can stop them and give them a verbal notice, or they can ask them to get in the van. So if you get in the van, you have to sit and wait there for hours maybe, so that the van is full of women who are not compliant with the law. They take all the women to a center that is called Correction and Compliance to just, train you on the details of the law. Obviously, this process always doesn't go well because women resist. You are going to work, or you are going to school, or you are going to a party, and you're suddenly stopped by one of these vans, asking you to get in the van. And you resist. You said, I'm fine. I'm wearing a scarf. My body is covered. But they freely can, beat you or curse you, use bad words, hit you, push you, and they do all they can to put you in the car and take you to that center. So we exactly don't know what happened to Mahsa Amini, but it was a case like that. She was, she came from another city, Kurdistan, which is close, which is east of Tehran. She came to Tehran just for a vacation with her family. And while she was getting off the subway, in the subway station, she was stopped because of not properly wearing her hijab. And she was taken to the center. A few hours later, her family was let know that she is in coma, and she was sent to the hospital. She was in coma for 3 days and died. So the first question for everyone, including her family, was what happened to Mahsa? She was completely healthy. She was here for a vacation, and right now she's dead. So, and that was the turning point for Iranian women, that they said, we are not going to comply for, compulsory hijab. So it started like that with her death. But the only one thing that I want to mention again is that hijab is a law in Iran. It is not part of Persian culture. It is not even a law in Islam. It is recommended in Islam, and lots of Muslim women decide to wear hijab. But we have other Islamic countries that women are free to choose if you want to wear a hijab or if you don't want to. And it's only Iran that even an outsider, as a tourist, if you come to Iran, you have to comply with the compulsory hijab. So that is the start of this revolutionary movement, but it has so many other aspects that I would let other panelists to talk about it.
Thank you so much, Avisha. Thank you. And just a quick question. What are the Iranians specifically protesting?
So as I said, the first day was the justice for death of Mahsa Amini, and asking the question that what happened to her. This is a simple thing, and you are against all the women law, all the basic human law, and you cannot, just not be responsive or responsible for what happened to her. But we have had a regime that have been so corrupted economic-wise, social-wise, political-wise, and people are fed up in many, many ways. So they think that right now the change for the government is not the change for the government is an answer. There is no way for a reform or a correction to the government.
Thank you so much, Avisha, for sharing that. I'm going to request for our speakers to also share. So the rest of our panelists, please share, why does this topic matter to you personally? So we'll go ahead and start with Aida, and then we'll go with Iman and Mitra.
Sure. So first of all, I'm an Iranian, and that's my homeland. Those are my people. And I deeply feel them because I was one of them. Let's say, yes, this time around, the revolution, the demonstrations, or whatever you want to name it, it started because of the death of a woman, a young woman, but this fire has been lit for quite a few years. So in 2009, when one of the biggest demonstrations against the regime started, one of the biggest before this one, because this is the most biggest one. So I was there in 2009. I was there. I was on the streets. That's why I really, and we really wanted the same thing. That's why it, every young woman or man that falls, it really, really leaves a scar in my heart, because I feel them. I know we have been all fighting for the same purpose, for our basic rights. Yes, it was different then a little bit, but the purpose is the same. It has been the same. This fire has been lit for years. That's why it's important to me.
Thank you, Aida. Dr. Iman.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the University of Arizona for providing this space, holding this space to talk about what is happening in Iran. And I think if you can answer the question that why the University of Arizona holding this space, you probably will find the answer that why me and my other fellow Iranian here and all the people in Iran care about this matters. The story of Mahsa Jina, in fact, her name was Jina, her Kurdish name was Jina, but like the Kurdish people have mostly two names, the Kurdish and like Persian name. The story of Jina, Mahsa Amini, was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. It was not the first one. It probably will not be the last. And the fact is that at a certain point, the people of Iran said enough is enough. And we can talk about the reason that why this one, because Mahsa or Jina Amini was a Kurdish young girl, which is a collection of all the discrimination in this country. Kurdish people have been always discriminated over the last 40 years by the ethnics, by the ethnicity, by the religion, by the language. As you see, they must have two names. It's just ridiculous. And also by the religion also, because they're Sunni and like most of the Iranian are Shia, and this is another discrimination. And the most importantly, maybe the largest community that been discriminating against them are women in Iran. So so that was maybe the pivotal point for all of us, that we can see us in Jina Amini. And something else that was actually embracing this event was that there is no such a thing as accountability culture in Iranian government. They do not feel that they don't think that they have to, be accountable for anything. As you can see in the flight, the Ukrainian flight that they shoot like 2 years ago, after 3 days of all the international pressure, they just came up and said, yeah, you know what, we did shoot the airplane, now what? This is so insulting for everyone who lives in that country. And I think that's why we all feel close to this particular case.
Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Iman. And finally, Mitra, please, if you can also share.
Yeah, of course. So as an Iranian American who was raised mainly in the US, I had the privilege of not being forced to wear hijab most of my life. I traveled back and forth. When I was in Iran, starting around 9 or 10, I started having to cover up, but it was something very temporary for me. And I could come home and take it off and not think about it for the rest of the year until I'd go back in the summer. But I had cousins my age, and that wasn't their life. They grew up there every day, having to cover up, having to watch themselves, and under restrictions that I didn't know. And while I've never agreed with them since I grew up in the US, I never felt like I had the right to say anything, because if you're not like primarily living in a country, it's like, oh, you don't have the right to be the voice of the people who are there, right? And something that's changed for me now is, I think like, Dr. Iman said, it was the straw that broke the camel's backs. We can no longer be silent. And whatever the risk that is to us living outside of the country about our ability to go back or not, we need to support our people. We need to support our families, many of whom cannot speak out as much as we can for them. So I guess that's why it's become important to me.
Thank you so much, Mitra. Thank you. And we just have a little bit of time, but Aida, if you can go ahead and just explain, how is this uprising different from the ones in the past? I mean, obviously we've been talking a lot about it, but why this uprising? Why not one that happened maybe years ago?
Yeah, obviously it's different from different aspects. First of all, it started because of what happened to a woman and what a woman went through this time. In previous demonstrations, there were different reasons, as I mentioned before, the same purpose, but different reasons. So the next thing I think, and I believe we can all see that and relate to, is the access to cell phone, good cell phones with good cameras these days. I mean, a decade ago in 2009, and those years only, of course, the access to internet, cell phones, the quality of the cell phones, the social media, everything was different. Now you see, even I remember then we were college students and my dad got me a cell phone, but now even elementary school kids, they are recording everything. They are sharing everything. So that's why it's been, global. Everybody's just hearing about it and learning about it. This is one of other reasons. The other thing I think is that I remember in 2009, which was really, really big, although we all wanted the regime change and the regime gone, but we thought we were not powerful enough to change the regime because of all the fear that they created, all the tortures and everything and oppression and all the things that has happened and they have been doing to people and to political prisoners. So we couldn't see ourselves powerful enough to make this change. So we were asking for reforms, within the system, which never happened. It just became worse and worse. And the only thing was added was more political prisoners and more torture and bad stories that was coming out to fear people. They themselves spread this kind of fear so that these stories so that, make you scared, you don't go do it again. And all those stories, I don't want to take much of the time. So the other thing I think is, which really leaves me at odds, is this generation. I am so surprised. These young kids, they are not scared. Their bravery, I mean, we were there on the streets, but we were scared. They are not scared. They just open their chests to the bullets. I mean, they are either so fed up with everything, with the bad economy and everything and the oppression for years and years, or they are really something else. These kids are something else. So, and the last thing that comes to my mind is that this time the Iranians outside the country, in other countries, they have been really helpful. They are sharing, they are going to demonstrations. We have never seen such a thing, that these big groups of people outside Iran that they have been doing in San Francisco, Los Angeles, in Berlin last week. It's amazing that this time I think the world is hearing us, is seeing us. Nobody can ignore us anymore. Yeah, that's what comes to mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Aida. All right. So let's talk a little bit about women and women's rights right now. So my question to our panelists is, how are women's rights being impacted through this movement right now? So I'm going to go ahead and start with Mitra, and then we're going to go ahead and continue from there.
Specifically women's rights in Iran, I mean, they're essentially non-existent. And you know, their demands are for more than just, can we not wear a headscarf? Women are not allowed to dance in public, sing in public. We're seeing these beautiful videos of women doing it in front of like the Freedom Square. And people need to understand that they are risking their lives by singing or dancing on camera in the street. Women aren't allowed to oftentimes travel without permission of a male guardian or a husband. There are many medical procedures, especially reproductive procedures, they are not allowed to get without permission of a husband or male relative. If their male relatives wanted to pull them out of their education at a young age, they are allowed to do that. They're not allowed to get divorces except in very specific court instances. And in those cases, they're often not allowed to take custody of their children. Women's rights just do not exist. They are not protected in domestic violence situations. They have not been protected against brutality of police. There's no accountability for how they are treated. But also human rights are very restricted. Freedom of speech, which has been why so many journalists, especially and bloggers and musicians and artists who are speaking up are being jailed, is because freedom of speech is not protected, especially when it's considered anti-government or westernized propaganda. So it's much bigger than just the symbolism of the hijab. It is wide-ranging. And that is why we're saying that reform is not an option. The regime needs to go because they have no incentive to reform because they would lose their power. And when people are threatened with losing their power, that's when they become dangerous, which is why we're seeing these violent crackdowns, especially on students, especially on minorities, that are just sweeping the country. But people aren't afraid. As we said earlier, this generation, especially Gen Z, they have nothing left to lose. So they are not afraid and they know what they're risking.
Thank you so much, Mitra. I'm going to ask Dr. Iman, it's within the same question of women's rights being impacted, but Dr. Iman, can you give us information directly about the impact of Southern Iran?
Well, yeah, of course. So first of all, I just want to mention that I believe this is probably the most feminine revolution in the history. And the fact that the whole thing came from a woman, and then you can see the all feminine energy throughout this, like over past 40 something days, from the day that the women in Saqqez, they cut their hair to mourn for the dead, and like you see weeks after that, the woman in the Parliament of Europe, they cut their hair, the same thing. So no like political speech could do that. So this is important to remember, that the feminine energy was something that actually point this one out. And about the southern Iran and all the other communities that have been oppressed over the last 40 years in Iran, I mentioned that I think Iran is a collection of minorities by ethnicity, by religion, by the race and language. And those people in Southeast Iran that are probably the most oppressed and one of the most unfortunate places on this planet. And this is how you can see that all these minority groups are now connected to each other, and they're willing to sacrifice themselves for the other. And this is I think, one of the most important difference between this one and any other revolution, uprising, or movement from before.
You're muted.
You're on mute.
Thank you. I accidentally muted myself. Thank you so much, Dr. Iman, for that great information there. And thank you for letting me all know that I was muted. So Avisha, I would love to know what the impact has been on small businesses that are running right now. I know you have some friends who have companies. What's going on there?
Okay, yeah, as we heard, the government from early days when the protest started, they try to shut down the internet because they are so afraid of all the videos that every single people can record on their phone and send it to media, send it, to the other side of the world for the whole world to witness how brutal this regime is. So they cut the internet, and the not having access to the internet will impact the economy of the country severely. And I have some numbers for you here, that these numbers were reported by the government itself. And we know that because them being so not accountable and lying all the time, we know that these numbers not even probably 1/3 or not the whole picture, but at least it can give you some ideas that there are 300,000 e-commerce and small businesses in Iran that are run over the internet. And a majority of that are run by young girls or young entrepreneurs. That internet is the main juice for that business. And lots of those businesses are run through Instagram. And since the films and the movies and the whole revolution is being reflected on Instagram, they also filtered Instagram. So people right now cannot even access lots of social medias, including in Instagram, where so many people have business on this platform. And again, according to the vice presidents of the Chamber of Commerce in Iran, every hour that the internet is down, 1 million economic loss happens for Iran. And this is a huge number. And you can see how they are willing to pay this big price just to oppress the protest and just to continue with the brutality and not let people, do or want what they want. Also, another thing is that we have around 12 million people who are working with a digital currency or cryptocurrency, which we all know that it needs internet, it needs free access to all the platforms, and all of these are gone, and people do not have access to their investments and cannot do anything with their investments. And 9 million jobs were lost approximately because of the internet access and the filtration of Instagram and so many other social medias in Iran. So the impact on small businesses, on young entrepreneurs, especially girls, women who are who are responsible for a small family has been a lot.
Thank you so much for sharing, Avisha. We've got a few questions that are coming in the chat. We're going to go ahead and answer those as soon as we stop recording. We're going to have a little bit of time for question and answers in a little bit, just to let you all know. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Thank you again, Avisha, Dr. Avisha, for sharing that with us. And so lastly, I would like to ask within the impacts that we're talking about, what is so like here in the US, we have protection for free speech in the Constitution, but in Iran, there is nothing of that nature. Is that correct? And so I would like to ask all of you, or whoever wants to answer from our panel, what the issue is in regards to having no protection for free speech, especially for women.
I'll just say you're seeing the effects right now. You're seeing how many people, how many girls are being taken off the street and arrested and jailed or just disappeared and murdered. Shervin Hajapur, who put out the beautiful song Baraya based off the tweets of people in Iran and what they were experiencing, was arrested. They have been trying to scrub his song and videos from the internet, which at this point is an impossible task, thank God, because we're all listening to it and we're all playing it. The two journalists who broke the story of Mahsa Amini's death, Niloufar Hamidi and Alaiha Mohammadi, they have been arrested and accused of espionage for breaking the story of how she died. This is what is happening to anyone they catch speaking out against the government. They're accused of being Western spies. They're accused of propaganda against the government, any sort of political or journalistic dissidents. No matter how true it is, they're arrested on either false or trumped up charges or just arrested with no explanation. There's very little due process in the court systems. They are kind of just allowed to do whatever they want with you once they catch you. And that is what's happening.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's, Mitra, it's so important that we're discussing this. And I just want to thank you all, for really being so open and sharing with us what's really happening out there, what's going on in Iran right now. So I'm going to ask all of you, what can leaders do right now to raise awareness? Let me go ahead and ask Dr. Iman, and then all of you can also please answer this question, starting with Dr. Iman. What can leaders do to raise awareness?
Well, I think we already have witnessed the whole, let's say, collective consciousness regarding this uprising. And I want to talk about the banner, a sign that women was holding in one of these demonstrations. They said, to the leaders of the world, we do not asking for your help. We're asking to stop helping our killers. So this is important that we all remember that. Honestly, I think the whole world now, what is happening in Iran, there is no, there are a lot of maybe dark points, angles that will be, it will be come to the light later. But the fact is that I want to talk about what can the civilians in the world can do instead of leaders, because I believe the leaders already know what is happening. Those who are living in free countries like the US, Canada, Australia, Europe, I think it's important that you hold your politicians accountable for what is happening, because these people, even if they're just pretending that they all care about the human rights, they use this beautiful, sophisticated term to collect votes in the coming elections. So write letters, emails, and contact your politicians, your locals, or ask them to support, to be accountable. So what actually you are doing in regard of this whole thing in Iran. So I think it's important that we all remember that we are part of this global community. And maybe we can later talk about it, that I believe what is happening in Iran is not going to stop in Iran. It's going to change the whole, first of all, the whole Middle Eastern women, and then it will even change the perspective of the world towards women in near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Iman. And next, we'll ask Aida.
Well, to Dr. Iman's point, that's true. I mean, the big powers in the world already know what needs to be done. They know which side they should take, but when this game is going to be played or ended, we don't know, because we all know there is so much behind the scenes, you know, behind closed doors. So I cannot talk for that, but human beings, we are all humans. We can help each other. The ones if you can share our stories, learn about what's happening. Do not let the misleading stories really trick you, because this is about really everything that we want, those people in Iran want, is basic human rights, freedom of speech, no political prisoners in prisons, a normal economy, a normal life. They're asking for a normal life, freedom of, I want to choose what to wear. This is the very, very basic thing that a human being wants, right? Access to internet. Like now, I see that these young people, they have learned how to hack through, you know, those filters on internet, but still they get the minimum. With the minimum, they are showing the world this much. So the world really needs to be our voice, their voice. We are here, sitting here in a safe place. It's easy to talk, but what we are talking about is so horrifying, let alone living that. They are living that for like over 6 weeks right now. You can share our stories. You can use hashtags, especially if you have platforms with a big audience. That could be really helpful. So we are just fighting for human rights. That's all. Everything that the world has been advocating for, we want you to advocate for Iranian women and Iranian young people and Iranian people in general.
Thank you so much, Aida. Thank you for that. And I agree. And we have Mitra and Avisha.
Yeah, I just wanted to share 2 links. You asked about how leaders can help, and I agree with every single word that Iman and Aida said. But some of our prominent Iranians outside the Iran have put together a petition on change.org. And this petition has 2 clear requests. The first petition that is written to the G7 leaders that are the foreign ministers of the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Canada, and the United States. This petition requests them to expel Iranian diplomats from their country because of these obvious reasons that we talked about. And the second thing is that not even right now, but before this protest, there have been so many political prisoners that because of the lack of the freedom of speech, they have been imprisoned, and some of them we even don't know where they are and what status they have. So the second request in this petition is to free all those political prisoners. So I'll put the link to this petition in the chat area if anyone would like to sign this petition. Right now, this petition has been signed by 720,000 people. So it is one of the biggest petitions in change.org. So we would appreciate if you can consider signing this petition. And the other one is that an open letter that global women leaders and advocates just wrote to the UN. And they wanted the UN to remove the Islamic Republic from the Commission of status of women. This open letter, I can read to you that so many prominent, global women took part in writing that letter, including Michelle Obama, Laura Bush, so many names, so many Iranian names like Shirin Ebadi, who won the Nobel Peace Prize. This is also a very good letter to the UN, and UN should really acknowledge, this request of removing the Islamic Republic from its commission. And I also put the link in the chat again. You can read the letter. Both petitions have English version. You can also see at the bottom of the page, there is the name of those who signed this letter and sent it to the UN. So if you can also consider signing this letter, that is much appreciated.
Thank you so much for sharing those links in the chat. And if you all get the chance to get into the chat box, you will be able to see those links right there and sign the petition. Thank you. Mitra, do you have any words?
Yeah, just echoing what everyone's already said. Leaders know what they need to do. And something that's great about being a citizen in the US or a citizen in a more democratic country is you can call your leaders, call your representatives, email them, tell them they need to get on this because you care about it. It's not just that it's not happening in your country, but it's representative of standing up for basic human rights and basic women's rights. And guess what? There are a lot of countries who are about to follow the Islamic Republic said and what they are trying to do to women. So tell your leaders that you'll not stand for it and you don't want them to either.
Thank you. Now, in just a quick 30 seconds, if all of you can answer this, how can we help support women? So Mitra, go.
Use your social media. Social media, there are a lot of thoughts about it. A lot of it is terrible, but in this case, you're actually helping. Make sure you're using credible sources. There are many Iranian journalists you can follow and Iranian activists you can follow where you can feel comfortable sharing, or your Iranian friends. Share what they are posting. Let people know that you're not letting this go.
Thank you. Dr. Iman.
Thank you. Once again, I want to thank the University of Arizona to hold this space. And I believe having more discussions like this will help to raise awareness about the whole Iran situation. And of course, social media is now our strongest weapon against all this censorship and all these limitations. And I believe we are Iranian inside and outside the country. We are all together in this. And I'm inviting all my non-Iranian friends to join us in this freedom revolution.
Thank you, Dr. Iman. Aida.
Yeah, just like my friends just mentioned, and I mentioned before, let's just brighten people's minds, show them what's really happening so that they can talk about it, they can share what's happening. And I think the more it gets broadcasted, I know the world knows about it already, but we shouldn't let this fire be put out, because people have died because of this, and people are dying and being killed every day. So if this doesn't go anywhere, if we give up, all those people, all those deaths is in vain. And then the rest of the people who are in prisons right now, they're waiting for the trial. No, there's no trial, but I mean, they're waiting for what's going to happen to them, and their families don't even know where they are. They're gonna kill all of them. And this is reality about what's happening in the Islamic Republic of Iran. So let's just not give up. Do not give up on us. We are not going to give up on our people inside Iran. So that would be, the biggest help if you remember us.
Thank you, Aida. And Dr. Avisha.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that this revolutionary movement is about women's rights, is about humans' rights. And as you see of the famous chanting that that the people use is women, life, freedom. So by supporting this revolutionary movement, you are not doing any anti-Islam act, or you are not be labeled as Islamophobic. It has nothing to do with, being against Islam or anything like that, because I had some non-Iranian friends who were not sure what does this burning of a scarf means. And as I tried to explain, is that women say we need people to know that we are not against hijab. Fundamentally, we are against compulsory hijab. So women have to even has to be able to choose what they want to wear. And even in this protest, we have so many women's that with their hijab, they joined the protest. So it is not about hijab only. It is not about Islam. It's about the human rights and women's rights. So support us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, you made a very great point and a very great distinction in this, that there's so much behind it, and it's not about religion, but it's really about women and women's rights. So thank you so much for that. Now, in these last few moments that we have, I want to know more about cultural context. And so I would like to ask all of you just to share one point. What do you love about your culture? We're going to go ahead and start back with you, Dr. Avisha.
I have been outside the Iran since 2006, just went back twice. And the last time I was there was 2011. So it's been 11 years that I missed, being in my country. And I have always tried to, to see how peoples are, outside the Iran or inside the Iran. But one thing that I really like about our culture is that no matter what happens to us, and it happened so many bad things during this past 42 years. We love our culture. We have kept it alive. We have kept it Nowruz alive. We have kept it Yalda alive. Although there has been so many attempts to kill all those traditions. So we are a people who love to celebrate, to dance, to sing, to be happy. And this happiness has been stilled from us for 42 years, but still we have tried to keep it.
Thank you so much. I love the celebration of Nowruz. I'm Pakistani, but I love Nowruz, and I love the foods and everything that you all have. So amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Mitra, we will go next.
I mean, yes, just echoing. I think something people don't understand is the Islamic Republic has only been around for 43 years. Iranian culture and Persian culture has been around for thousands. We are responsible for some of the best poetry. We are responsible for scientific exploration, for art, for music. And it's amazing how, even though since the Islamic takeover about 680 or whatever, that has not been lost. We have held on to our culture no matter who's tried to take it from us, no matter how much the Islamic Republic, just echoing, has tried to tamp down on specific Persian celebrations and holidays. We are people who does not let go of things. It might not be great for our relationships, but it's great for holding on to our culture. So that's what I love about it.
Thank you so much. And yes, you're right. It's been around for thousands of years, the beautiful Persian culture. Thank you. Dr. Iman.
Well, there are so many different aspects about Iranian Persian culture that I love. As you know, they're welcoming, they're kind, the food, and the diversity of the culture across the country, yet the unity, of course. But I think my most I think my favorite aspect is the poetry. As you know, as a poet, it's no surprise that I'm so into Persian poetry, which I think was this was one of the most strongest cultural aspects.
Thank you. Yes, the poetry is just beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And Aida.
Sure. So in relation to these days events, I would say people's solidarity. I mean, the regime throughout the years tries so much to divide, to create this division between people, to hate each other. I mean, people of this side of Iran, they don't like that side, you know. But I mean, the Turks, the Kurds, people in south of Iran. But these days we can see how Iranians are Iranians and we are Persian and we are all together and we are doing it together. So they haven't succeeded. You know, Iran is Iran and everybody is just doing this together, shoulder by shoulder. So that's what I love about our people. And I am surprised after all they have been through, they are still so loving toward each other. And they are all fighting for the same purpose. So that's really, really, I really admire them.
Thank you so much, Aida, for that. Thank you. Absolutely. Strength and togetherness, that's called resilience. So I would love for you to just share some final thoughts. We are actually towards the end of this panel event. We are going to go ahead and open it up to questions and answers in just a couple of minutes. But if there are any final thoughts, any of the four of you want to say, please go ahead and state that now, and then we will go ahead and stop the recording and we will start with the questions and answers.
Zan Zendagi Azadi, everybody. Don't forget it.
I love that. All right.
I also wanted to thank everyone who attended this, this event, and we appreciate all the sharing and information distribution that non-Iranians do on behalf of their Iranian friends. It means a lot. It can go a long way. So please don't get disappointed. Continue the great work that you are doing. Please ask us questions if any aspect of this movement or this protest is not clear to you. We would be happy to clarify to you, and we would get any help that you can provide to just get the words out there even more than it is right now.
Thank you so much, Avisha. Thank you so much, Dr. Avisha. Anyone else? Aida? Dr.
I would also want to thank the CWL because of this event. This means a lot. Every one of us that has a mic to talk about this, it goes a long way. So I really appreciate all the people who are here today and the people who organized this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Once again, I want to thank you all. Appreciate all my non-Iranian friends, and of course you, Dr. Aasiyah, to having this space for us. This is not just a social media trend that people are following. This is probably the last chance for a great nation who has contributed a lot already to human history. And I personally will not stop until my people inside the country get what they deserve. And I invite you all to be in this journey with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Iman. Thank you, everybody. We are going to go ahead and stop the recording. And thank you all so much. Thank you to our panel for being here today. We so appreciate having you and learning so much from you, from all of you regarding what's been happening in Iran and what we as leaders and as citizens of our own countries can do for everybody. With that said, everyone else, thank you so much. Please hold on for a couple of extra minutes for some questions and answers, and then we will be off very soon. Once again, thank you.